Tshepo,
Yes.
thank you for taking the time. The just energy transition, we keep on hearing this topic. What is it about?
So the just energy transition is actually like the country's strategy in terms of we want to decarbonize as a country. We want to achieve our decarbonization objectives, and we've actually realized, and even the whole world has realized, that the way we are generating electricity right now, or energy in general, is not sustainable, particularly to the environment. And the country has put forward a strategy to say this is how we're gonna decarbonize. And in decarbonizing, one of the important things one has to consider is that you cannot leave anyone behind, hence the just part of the transition. And it's particularly a document that outlines how South Africa plans to decarbonize while ensuring that its socio-economic objectives are still achieved.
Thank you for that word, how.
Yes.
Can you maybe unpack that word for us a bit more?
Right. So if you look at the just energy transition, there's two documents that we have released. So one was the investment plan, and then the second one was the implementation plan, so which spoke to the how. And in there, there's about 6 pillars that are quite important. One is electricity, new energy vehicles, and the other one is green hydrogen. So those are the main pillars that the country will use or decarbonize in. But in that as well, there's cost-cutting pillars, one being skills development, municipal capacity or uplifting municipalities. And there's an important addition that was included from the investment plan to the implementation plan, and that is the Mpumalanga just transition, because a lot of the transition that has to happen in Mpumalanga. So it's a focus area that got highlighted, and the how part comes as to government has implemented work streams that are going to focus on each one of those pillars to ensure that there's people skilled to implement it, there's matrices that's going to be measured, and there's also financial and technical support that's going to be required to ensure that those pillars are being implemented.
Another word that you've put in there, financial.
Yes.
How do you see the financial sector supporting the just energy transition?
So when you look at the just energy transition, in there, it's a 5-year plan, and there is a 1.5 trillion requirement in terms of implementing the levers in those pillars. And in there, it's a blended finance model. So it's not only debt, there's also a lot of grant funding that's envisaged, concessional funding that's envisaged, and also equity funding that's envisaged. And there's money that's already been committed to by different players within the market, and even private sector. There's an invitation in the just energy transition, especially the implementation plan, for the private sector to participate in the transition, because we are aware that government cannot do this by themselves. They need support. And one of the invitations, especially from an RMB perspective, is we see an opportunity to provide with our financial and technical skills in ensuring the implementation of the just energy transition plan.
And lastly, how do you see us as a country executing and implementing the just part?
So the just part is particularly the most challenging part of this whole scheme, because you are in a country that's heavily reliant on fossil fuels, and those fossil fuels are concentrated almost in one province. And to transition into these new technologies, electric vehicles, green hydrogen, renewable energy, you need sometimes different types of skills. So it's ensuring that you reskill, upskill, and cross-skill a lot of the employees that are currently working in there, but also the communities. There's a lot of communities that depend on those existing assets. How do you ensure that these new technologies that are coming in are also implemented in those communities? Secondly, localization. How much of that we are implementing can be localized as well to ensure community participation? Empowerment in terms of ownership. How do you ensure that those communities are also can participate from an ownership perspective, such that they have equity into those opportunities? And that is why there's a lot of work that's happening globally, from the International Labour Organization all the way from a municipal level, as to how does one ensure that as we transition, we take care of the communities, we take care of the employees and the broader South Africa, so that, as I said, the important thing is no one should be left behind.